Hi, welcome to Two Non-Doctors. I'm Liz Mealy.
I'm Maria Shahada.
I got up early to vote. I don't know
Uh,
why I had to get up early to vote. My
Probably
roommate
to
was like,
avoid lines.
no, there's never a line in my neighborhood. My roommate was like, oh, we might have to do early voting, da da da. I was like, dude, I'll vote when you vote. And he's like, oh, we could do it the day that we're supposed to vote. I was like, cool. I was like 10, which is like, gives me like a normal wake up. He's like, can we go at 8? And I was like, sure. Thinking he had a shoot. And then he's been home all day. And I'm a
You're like,
little
you better
like,
go out, you fucking dick.
I a little bit feel like that. Like I'm so tired. And I like got work done, but then I tried taking a nap. It was like an unsuccessful nap. And I'm like, am I grumpy all day because you wanted to get up or like, and I like when we all vote together. So it was like my choice, but I was a little bit like, why are you here?
What if he then, yeah. What if he then voted for somebody that you hate and you're just like,
Yeah. I'm like, I got up early with you and then you voted for this piece of shit.
well,
I also got up.
voted. Well done being an upstanding citizen.
Thank you. You know what's really funny is like I don't know how you were raised, but I was just raised that you're supposed to vote. It wasn't until like maybe like 5 years ago that I was like, oh, everybody doesn't vote. Like I thought that's you're supposed to. Like I'm such a studious. Like I'm really realizing what a like not a goody two shoes, but just like a little like my dad told me I was supposed to. Like I just
Yeah.
like truly like you know what I mean? Like yeah, after then you mop, like you sweep and then you
You know
mop.
what? I was thinking about that the other day because like my dad's very he's very by the book and straight and narrow, like he follows the rules. And like he's always just said, like, just make sure your credit is good because that's going to affect your whole life. And just make sure you have good credit. Don't fuck with your credit. And then I have a friend who had just garbage credit and like to the point where we were looking at places together and we couldn't get some places because her credit was so bad. Like one woman was like, I don't know what kind of person would let their credit fall this low. Like,
Wow.
yeah, just horrible
Wow.
credit. But she just bought like $1 million home and she's fine. Like she's fine now. Like, I mean, she's married. I don't know if her husband's credit has anything to do with it. But like after a
I
while,
would think so if she couldn't even rent an apartment before.
yeah, but I also think that stuff just sort of kind of it has like a limit. Like you have shit credit for 7 years because even when you go bankrupt, it
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
only last
erases
7 years.
after 7 to 10 years, and then so
It,
it's just like being overly careful is good and it does save you a little bit of problems and headache, but overall you'll be fine. You know what I mean?
yeah,
That has
I mean,
nothing to do with voting. I'm sorry.
I know, no, it's fine. It does kind of make me laugh a little bit because even in that department, I'm very like conservative, and my dad said the same thing. Like if you can't handle a credit card, then don't get a credit card. But you should only use your credit card for like what you already were going to buy, like groceries or gas or stuff that was like you shouldn't be buying it. I use it for clothes and stuff like that because I'm able to. I I'm so conservative with money in my head that using a credit card or using fake money, because I always think that's funny that it's just like it's free.
Yeah.
Um, but he was so diligent about putting that in my head. But the same thing with voting, the same thing with like even like making my bed. Like sometimes I look over and I'm like, and Pasta's usually the one that unmakes my bed because she goes under my covers and fucks it all up. But I'm just like, there is a part of me that when I find out other people didn't have to do this as an adult, I'm like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? It's like when you're a little kid and your dad's like, no, you can't do that. And you're like, okay, I guess I can't do it. And then you find out everybody else can. And you're like, why are my rules different? And then I'm an adult that has free will. And I'm like, why are my rules different? Like I
Yeah.
can't unprogram myself. And in a lot of ways, I'm grateful. I don't have debt and, I'm a upstanding citizen and what have you. But I do sometimes like see people having fun. And I was like, I want to have fun. Like I'm in a box of my own making. But it was, I like my roommate's like, I'm going to vote at 8. And I was like, okay, I guess we're voting at 8. And then I was like, why the fuck didn't I just say no? I'm so tired.
You were that just brings us back to being considerate of his time because you thought he had something else. That would be like, you know how like I asked you to do the podcast today until it said it tomorrow. That would be like me like then not having anything going on tomorrow and you've had to like rearrange everything.
Yeah. I'm just fucking with you. It was funny. Wasn't there an earlier one where you're just like, hey, I'm gonna be like a half hour late? I was like, yeah, it's totally fine. And you're like, I was at the beach, and you just have like this glowing tan, and you look relaxed, and I'm like, you're like, I probably shouldn't have told you. I was like, it's fine. I mean, I'm glad you told me. I would have been like, why do you look so content and happy? Confusing.
That extra half hour did it all. It really made how content I was, because without it, I would have been like, yes, Liz, what do
Yeah.
what do you want
Could
to
have been
talk
in the
about?
sun right now. Um, but I think it's also my tiredness. I did a 5K, or not 5K, a 10K. And my running buddy wanted to do it. She's trying to train for a half marathon. I'm always like, yeah, I'll train with you. But the race was supposed to be at 9, but because it was on Governor's Island, you have to take a ferry, and there's only certain ferries you can take. And so I ended up getting up at 5:45 in the morning on a Sunday. And that's what I used to do when I did these races all the time. And I was like, I saw her as we were getting on the ferry, and I was like, why the fuck do we do this? She's like, I have no idea. I was like, this is our day off. Like, every day is a day off for me, but still, I was like, why are we here? I'm so tired. And it was good. I realized I've lived in New York almost 20 years, never been to Governor's Island. It was super pretty and very quaint. Used to be used for the military.
Governor's Island is the one. Which one is that? Is that the one between, like, you tell me.
I don't actually, I should look on a map and find it, but I was like, I'm sure I've been there, but like Randall's Island is where there's concerts. So I went to a concert on Randall's Island. Roosevelt Island, you can get from the tram or the F train, and I've been there. But Governor's, I just know there's a ferry.
Oh, that's why no one goes. Fuck ferries.
Yeah,
Look it
it's
up.
the worst mode of transportation.
I used to have to take the ferry when I first moved to New York, and
Really?
because
Where'd you live?
I was staying in Staten Island with my aunt and uncle.
Oh yeah.
And
No.
oh my God, though, because I was coming from Ohio and I wanted to move to New York so bad. Like the
Yeah,
first
yeah.
few
You're like,
times on the ferry
Staten
were like
Island, I made it. And then
it was
everybody
totally
calls you a loser.
yeah, they really beat you down. And I said Manhattan wrong. And like to this day, I used to say Manhattan. And then like I had a friend just make so much fun of me. So it has to like come, it just like has to tumble out of your mouth. That's Manhattan, Manhattan. Like you almost have to
Yeah,
like
you have
not
to
open your mouth.
you have to not care. But if you're like
Exactly. That's what
Manhattan, people are like,
right.
what are
Chill
you
out,
doing?
Ohio.
Yeah.
Chill the fuck
Oh,
out. Yeah.
yeah.
So the first few trips on the ferry, I was like, this is fucking awesome. The Statue of Liberty's right there. Guys, the tall buildings. Look at South, like, what do you call it? Lower Manhattan, like all those buildings and shit. I was like, this is the most magical thing in the world. And then just like 10 trips later, I was just inside with the rest of them. Just
Can
like,
we go faster?
yeah.
What is this?
God, it was such a fucking hard commute. The ferry is just impossible.
It's also like, I mean, some days there's like a nice breeze on a ferry and that feels nice, but then you remember that it's like the dirtiest water and you're like, that can't be good for my spirit or lungs. You're like, this
just
is
just bodies left by the mafia floating by, and just you're just getting a hit
yeah.
of that, just a whiff of
Yeah.
that.
And you're just like, ugh, it's not how I want to start my morning. How was your weekend? Was it lovely?
Yeah, I think you asked me that like in real life, and I was like, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I'm so busy, but I just feel like the week before any trip, I'm just like everything has to get done. So I
Yeah.
just feel like I've packed everything into the week. Like I've just like every minute is accounted for, but also want like I'm in a really motivated place. So I'm like trying to do a ton of new material nights and
I
trying to
see
write
that.
jokes, trying to write jokes with people for the new material nights. And then I'm trying to learn French. I'm also trying to go to yoga and I have a personal training because my body's
I'm
got
not
to
gonna
look good.
recognize you when I pick you up from the airport.
Dude, no, I know, because I would be like,
Hold like
bonjour,
a little
mon ami.
sign. M Shahada. M Shahada.
I know,
M
I know.
Shahada.
I'm in Operation Better Myself. And
The times I've done that was a year ago, my love. You can't fit it into a week.
no,
You
I'm
had a
doing it
year.
now. I'm doing it now. I can't go back
I
to the
love
States looking like I did
legit
before.
cramming for a life test where it's just like we're like later in our life, later in the pandemic, you're like, I forgot to write a book. Okay, announcements.
Yes.
Thank you to all our patrons, people that give us money. We appreciate you. You guys are awesome. You fill our lives with joy and our pockets with pennies. I don't know what I'm saying. I didn't sleep well.
Be free.
Such a moron. We appreciate you. If you are not a Patreon, you should know that you get weekly bonuses, you get stickers, you get monthly bonuses, you can control our Googles, you become a Google guest, tons of other benefits. But check us out. It's patreon.com/2nondoctors, full word doctors.
And follow us on the socials. You can follow us on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube at 2nondoctors. That's the number 2 full word doctors, and Instagram at 2nondrs. And if you have time and are feeling generous and nice, please leave us a rate and review because it helps us get seen. This is on Apple Podcasts. I don't think you can do it anywhere else, but it helps us get seen. We feel good. We share it on our socials. We get really excited. So, and thanks to all the, for all the nice words everyone's left so far.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it feels good. And then personal stuff. My book is now in the UK. You said you got my book. A couple other fans said my book came in. So it's available.
It's spreading
around the world. I'm international book success. But this in July, I have a bunch of gigs. My July just got packed. So as you know, me and Maria will be in Arlington, Virginia at the Draft House. Then I'm doing one night at the Brokerage in Long Island in Belmore. Then I just booked 3 days in Atlanta in I think it's 23rd to 25th. I can't remember, July. And then July 31st, I'm in Cleveland. And then I have a ton of other dates that are on my website, but come see me in July, guys.
Yeah, and me in July, because we're going to be in DC at Arlington Draft House. I love that club.
Yeah.
And
it's a good club. I'm pretty excited to be there.
Yeah. That's it so far for the States and the UK. Yeah, that's fine. Who cares?
Yep. Fan mail?
Yeah. Okay. This comes as a YouTube comment from Seb77. Now, okay, Seb7EN or Seb7. Okay, and then 7. Oh my God. Well, actually, it's OMG! Exclamation point times 4. I can deeply connect with disassociation. I work an only repetitive job, and there are times I feel myself pull back and feel like I'm watching life through another person's eyes, even though I'm aware they're my own. Jordan Peele had the best term for this phenomenon. He called it the sunken place, which is the most accurate feeling for what actually happens in your brain space when this phenomenon occurs. Also happens a lot when driving, which is super scary because sometimes I can't remember how I got home. And then it has an exclamation point, question mark, exclamation point, and like a thinky face. And that happens to me all the time. When I drive, I'm like, you're just not present because you're so used to it, and you just
there is when you do something that is so automatic, like taking the same route home every day, or I even think the shower. Have you ever taken a full shower and been like, oh my God, did I even wash my body? Like you're like the thing that I went into the shower for. You're like, okay, remember washing my face.
Well, I get really excited about products, so no. But I know what you're saying.
Do you do the same? I do the same thing. I do my hair, my full body, and then my face last.
No, no. So what I do is it's shampoo, rinse it out, conditioner, and then once the conditioner is in, I can do everything else. So it's face, then it's body, and exfoliation if it's Sunday.
I'm learning so much. Sunday is exfoliation day.
That's new in lockdown. I picked a day of the week to exfoliate because you're only supposed to do it once a week.
When you find out other people's habits, you're like, why Sunday? It's the day of the Lord is when we shed our new skin. Like, I was like, what is this?
That's an interesting.
I do know you're not supposed to completely you're not supposed to exfoliate a lot. And then I have more monthly things. Like you're supposed to deep condition I think twice a month, but I didn't pick a day. It's just I only shampoo my hair once a week, but it's everything is feeling. When somebody's like, how do you know when a joke is done? And you're just you just know. It's just a feeling. You just know. And that's how I feel about my hair being deep conditioned. It's just, you're in the shower and you're like, today is the day that it's going to get deep conditioned.
See, no, because I can't do that because then I'll never deep condition. I have to have the specific days. But I do have one day of the week I go to yoga. So I put the protein deep conditioner in my hair and I go to yoga. I leave it in, go to yoga, hot yoga. So it all penetrates and then come back and wash it out.
Smart. Well, we really got off disassociation.
Oh my God. What have we even been talking about? But is that disassociation when you sort of just zone out?
I actually don't know. That's actually because there is that there's the habitual thing where you've done something so much that you don't need to be present for, and you go into literally automatic mode. But then we talked about in the disassociation episode how a form of zoning out is on the minor spectrum of disassociation. So there's like the trauma response and the protection of yourself that's like over here, where you can disassociate anywhere from hours to days to months. And then there's the I don't want to be here because it sucks, like zoning out, like when you're at work and you're just kind of like so I don't know if it is, it's on the very minor spectrum of it. And I wonder if it is just like a form of automatic. But even just getting into disassociation, which is like, I don't think like my feelings are hurt or I'm triggered, I'm going to disassociate. It sometimes I'm like, oh no, it's happening.
Yeah.
But or just understanding that like this might send me into something. But for the most part, even just going into disassociation is automatic. Like it's a defense mechanism.
I guess I kind of do think it is disassociation, just because when I was little and everybody, like my parents would have social gatherings and everybody was speaking Arabic and I didn't understand Arabic, you sort of just, it's almost like I was like, well, I'm not needed here. So I just sort of went off into my own world.
Yeah.
Um
And the way I even like see disassociation is like you're present, you're physically present and physically doing stuff. Like you're setting the table, you're answering your aunts and uncles, but you're not making memories because you're literally not emotionally and mentally present.
yeah.
And that's why a lot of me not remembering my childhood, like understanding disassociation made me realize why I have like no memories.
Yes.
I shouldn't be laughing. I shouldn't be like, I didn't create any memories because I wasn't there. But seriously, like it really freaked me and my sister out for the longest time that we didn't really remember our childhood, or I didn't really remember a lot of my 20s. And then understanding that I was disassociated was like, oh, okay, I literally wasn't mentally there.
Well, thank
But
you for the comment.
yeah, we appreciate you. Googles.
Yes.
I'll go first because it kind of goes with.
Go for
Is
it.
it a good thing? I was gonna say, is it a good thing that I'm going first or bad?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah,
go ahead.
No, because you brought up exfoliating, and my Google is how do you prevent calluses, which is not completely the same, but this happens to me every summer. Every summer I do this to myself. We talked about shoes in one of our like let's get personals or whatever. I wear these boots. I have these boots and I just keep buying some version of these kind of like mid-calf boots. And that's what I wear 99% of the time. And then the summer happens and I don't really wear them with dresses because it's like a little bit too much teenage angst to wear like a cute dress and then these like almost combat boots. So I wear Chucks. I have white and black Chucks, and that's because like, we can't really wear heels in general in the city, and just I got places to be. I don't have time. I'm running the spots.
I don't even like the look of heels anymore. I'm just like, that has a certain look to it that just feels.
Yeah, especially on stage, you're just like, what am I going to a ball? Like, what are we doing? Like, tell jokes about cats. Let's take it down a notch. So I wear Chucks, and I like them. And again, they're not tied, but they're snug. But the thing about Chucks is they don't fit my feet. I have flat feet. They have never fit my feet. I wear them in a little bit and they feel a little bit more comfortable, but they're not, my feet don't like them. My feet don't want to be in them. My feet are sad in them. And I know that because within 2 days of wearing Chucks, because it's now nice weather, I get really bad calluses on my pinky toe. And they get really, really painful. Like, to the point where like I'm not wearing heels, yet I'm in the type of pain of somebody that is wearing heels. So I was like,
wait,
what is it?
Callus, it's not a blister?
It's not a blister. So callus, callus is like a thickening of skin. So they put corns and calluses in the same bracket, the same category. A corn is almost kind of what it sounds like. It's like this raised I would almost say like a wart, but a wart is different, but it's shapely like a wart. And
I think we're going to have to do this podcast where people know what corns are. I feel like everyone knows what a corn is.
I didn't know what it was until I got one when I was like,
you're kidding,
in college. Yeah. Oh. I was like, what the fuck is this? But then a callus is more like different. Like I used to get them on my hands all the time when I was a gymnast. So clearly repeated motion and friction builds a callus. But
Guitarists will
these
get
ones on
them
my,
on because of the strings. Like people who play guitar will get
yeah,
calluses on their fingertips.
exactly. Or people that do like certain kind of manual labor. So I used to get them all, like my hands were always rough when I was a gymnast. But like this happens every summer and I don't want to change my shoes. So I was like, how do I prevent this? So basically, like I said, hardened layer, and it's a way of protecting your skin from like either the pressure of the irritation and everything. It's because of my shoes. Like I knew that, but I wasn't like exactly sure. So I think it's a mix of the fact that they're both too narrow. Like they're Chucks, they're Converses, so there's no padding. So I think there's zero padding. They're tight on my foot, and then I don't tie my shoes, so there's a little bit of like kink 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 kink.
Why don't you tie your shoes, Liz?
I don't know why I don't tie my shoes.
But you know how to.
I'm just cool like that. I don't know. I haven't tied, and even the shoes that I do tie. So like these sneakers, this is how dorky I got. These are like those I wish this wasn't black on black, but they're like basically stretchy and you don't like you set them and forget them. Like, you know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
like I put them on at least 4 pairs of my shoes so they become slip-ons because I'm busy. I'm busy. I'm not even deep conditioning every week. I'm busy. Like but that's the closest I get to tying something is something that's like a stretchy knit. But I don't know. I guess I don't know.
Tie your fucking
Anyway.
shoes.
No, you tie your fucking shoes. I look cute.
I do. Okay.
I look casual and cute. Anyway, I know how to get rid of it because I have, which is like, okay, just so you know, you're not supposed to cut them and you're not supposed to shave them. It's like that could cause like infection. It's like a really bad idea. So you're supposed to use like a pumice stone or like I bought this thing on Amazon 2 years ago and I wish I didn't like let it go to shit, but it basically is like it's like a pumice stone, but it's on like an automatic thing and it was awesome. And I did it once a week and it would prevent any kind of because it gets really painful for me. It's not like it's not even an unsightly thing. It's like literally it hurts to walk. But you know, soak, pumice stone, moisturize. Then they have those like mole skins that you can use to kind of protect your foot and stuff like that. But really, everything is just telling me to get new shoes. But I'm not going to do that. So I'm now at preventative.
Okay. Okay.
This
You're
Google was like, what are you going to do, Liz? And it's like, not change.
I'm not changing, so you need to change. Life needs to change. Our bodies need to change. They need to like morph, or what do you call it when you over the years you lose your tail and stuff?
Yeah,
You need
like
to evolve.
I have
into
fat
non-rehab.
pinky toes. Like I want
Yeah.
to be like, why are you so fat? Lose weight. Like I'm being like body shaming my pinky toes.
My pinky toe doesn't. It's just super curly. It like doesn't exist.
Oh, I just
And
like
then I
it's
have a
hiding.
little nail. All right. So you're not going to change. You're not going to tie your shoes. And
But
yeah.
looking at the moleskins, I might like preventatively put something there. Like if I'm going to wear those shoes, put something so like the callus is a protective layer so it doesn't get worse. So you can kind of make your own callus by just putting like a moleskin or maybe even a Band-Aid or something. So I might do the same way that you might put a Band-Aid on before you wear heels because you know it's going to rip apart your ankle. I might do something like that.
It's just a weird thing that they haven't perfected shoes over the last thousands of years.
They're just ugly.
You can't make a pretty shoe that's also comfortable. I don't understand. Like I paid a lot of money for these flats, but they're supposed to be like so comfortable. And they're comfortable, but because I'm between sizes, I'm between a number and a number and a half, like 6.5 in the US. That like it just like my feet always rub like I always get like shit on my feet, like not calluses, but like mostly blisters and stuff.
Blisters. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like do a quarter size.
Yeah, there's people out here that aren't full people.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry about your feet.
Okay, it's my fault because I don't tie my shoes. And just Chucks in general are just for dainty people, and I'm not dainty like that.
Yeah, you are. Well, no, you're pretty dainty.
No,
you're not. You're not.
I have big features.
Okay,
I feel like I was supposed to be a bigger person.
We should do an episode on body dysmorphia.
Okay. I mean, I don't. Yeah.
Because you're a tiny person who just said you have big features. So let's talk about that
I'm
another
like
time.
staring in the mirror, being like, I just, I've
I had,
overdone my
I had,
Google.
yeah, I had two possible Googles. I think I might go with the shorter one because the other one was so interesting, but I didn't have a chance to really like take it in before the podcast. So I'm gonna go with the simpler one, which is climate change making my allergies worse? And
Ooh.
yes, so
Yeah, there's a part of me that's like, yeah, I mean, I'm blaming climate change for everything.
I've never had allergies this bad. I've had allergies before, never to the point of seeking professional medical like advice and like prescribed medication. And even that,
Wow.
like the other day I was so stuffy and I had a singing lesson and I had taken the medication and the steroid nasal spray and I was just stuffy as fuck going in there. And it's like, what if I was a singer? I know I'm not. What if I was? What would I do? And I've never had this bad. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And they do say that climate change, like the warmer the climate gets, the longer allergy season is, number one.
Oh.
And number two, there's just more pollen in the air. And I think air pollution also carries pollen. So I don't know. There's a lot of things irritating. Like there are a lot of irritants already. And then that's just on top of that. That's just like as I'm talking this,
Were
I have
they?
to sneeze.
I know we didn't like really leave the house in spring and summer of 2020, but how were your allergies then?
I don't think that they were so bad that I was like, I don't know what to do. But we
Because I
were we
just
were
wonder if,
podcasting. We were podcasting that whole time, and I didn't start complaining about it until maybe like 6 months ago. So it's
yeah,
probably
because my thought is in general, pollution and all these kind of irritants went down because people were all inside. And then also you were more inside and you weren't running around. So just in general, it sounds like it's climate change just because when you weren't outside and everybody else wasn't outside, you didn't feel this shitty. Or
yeah.
maybe the trees were like, we haven't harmed people in like a year and a half. Let's just go big this year.
Or maybe they have more of an opportunity to like grow the polleny stuff that they
It's a
couldn't
great,
before. Huh?
just a joke. It was an adorable joke that you just let. I didn't even get a smile.
You're right. I'm sorry. I didn't listen to what you were saying because
Uh-uh.
I was too busy thinking about. All right, like how many fucking times have you done that to me? So many times have you stepped on a joke that you probably didn't even hear until you were going back over the podcast after it was recorded.
I always text you and tell you it was really funny though.
Yeah, but it happens, doesn't it? It
It
happens.
does.
The first time in my life, I had a thought and I wanted to say it.
I'm too tired for this fight.
Okay, well, we won't fight. But also my singing teacher, she was like, my son's having issues with that, and they say to A, take showers twice a day to get the pollen off of you because you bring it in from outside, and
Oh,
B, she was
I bet
like,
you our
put
curly hair also like holds it.
oh, this carries everything. I
Yeah,
uh,
I have a
and then
sandwich in here.
yeah. That's nothing to do with the curls. That's just you.
Sounds gross.
And then B, she said to put Vaseline like on your eyebrows and the tips of your eyelashes and stuff like that to keep pollen from like under your nose.
From it getting in.
Yeah. I'm probably not going to do
Cool.
that, but it was interesting that she said that.
But remember what I said about putting Vaseline on your eyelashes? It helps them like protect them and moisturize them. So you might get like double. It's worth
You're
trying
right.
just to get
Double benefit.
double. Yeah.
And then yeah. And then she also said like with singing, because I was like, well, what am I gonna like? What if I have to sing and I'm all stuffy? But she was like, you shouldn't be singing. You shouldn't be resonating in your nose anyway. So it's actually kind of telling you that you're singing too much through your nose, and then you have to like
Oh,
open your mouth more. But it's also an issue because it's I'm
about
just so
breathing.
nasal. I'm so nasal.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that was my
Okay.
Google.
Good Google. Let's get personal.
Oh yeah.
I like this question. This is yours. Where do you prefer to sit in a movie theater?
Yeah. I like the more lighthearted ones. You're always like, what do you want to do with your life? And if you don't do it,
What
how
are
will
you
kill
gonna think
yourself?
about the day you die? Like,
yeah, exactly. And I'm like, do you like
Crunchy or
super
cream?
stews?
Get the color pink.
But people like so I'd never met anyone who liked to sit in the front row of a movie theater because everyone always
Yeah.
assumes you get whiplash. but Johnny loves the front row of the movie theater. I'm like absolute back row. We're so yin and yang. But
Yeah.
I'm like the seats where people like give each other hand jobs. Like that's the like I'm not that I'm doing that, but like those are the seats, the back row. But it's mostly because they're the highest up seat. I don't like having people behind me in the dark either.
Yeah, and I think as a short person, all it takes is one tall person sit in front of you and your seat is fucked. So if you're
Absolutely.
completely tiered up, it's really hard
Yes.
to, because you
Yeah.
have the most incline when you're at the
Yeah,
top.
I'm like, it's the highest. I need to go to the highest up one, and yeah, because people will ruin for so many reasons. It's so hard for me to go to the movie theater because people can ruin
For
my
every,
time
oh my God,
instantly for so much. Yes,
I didn't
the
even think of that.
phone talking to like one time I went to the theater and somebody just like was on their phone the whole time, like that light was coming out. Gum eating, I don't know, everything will fuck me off. So
And then I would also think with the lights down low and stuff, it just makes your hearing even more like,
yeah.
and it gets
One
really
time
quiet in there when there's like quiet moments in the movie, and then you just hear like, "Nah, nah, nah, nah," like,
oh my god, oh my god, people ruin everything for me. But yeah, but like one time I got the headphones that are for the hearing impaired because the misophonia people, you don't know this, but if you don't know this, you can get headphones. So you can block
oh,
out the noises around you and just watch it with headphones on.
that's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love that. I'm so glad you have a boyfriend, because how funny is that you go on a date and you're just like, "Can I have the hearing impaired?" And they're like trying to like whisper something funny and you're like, "I have headphones."
What? What? What do you
What?
want? And I love
Yeah,
that
I'm
you're like,
watching them. You can't tell me to look. I'm looking.
I love that you're like, I'm so glad you have a boyfriend because you're such a dork.
You're not a dork, you're a mess. There's a big difference.
Yeah, but the front
Dorkiness
row.
is cute. Mess, people are like, "Ee."
But the front row is actually ideal if you think about it for short people because nobody can sit in front of you. But like we haven't managed to sit in the front row. And I don't know if it's from social distancing or because like the front row is reserved for like people with wheelchairs or whatever. But um I'd like to get into the front row, but I just feel like it's too close. Everything's too in your face.
Do you know what my trick is?
What?
It doesn't really matter what row you're in, although I don't love being in the front row. Being on the sides, you know how everybody wants to be in the middle? You're like front and like right there. I
Yeah.
don't like that because, like I said, anybody can sit in front of you and just block your view. But if you're on the end, not only is it great for peeing because I'm a peer, so you don't disturb anybody. That's very important to me. I don't want to be like, excuse me, sorry,
Yeah.
excuse me, soda. It always gets my bladder going. Excuse me, like, you know what I mean? Tell me what happens, like. So that prevents that, and I feel less anxiety knowing that I could pee without disturbing anybody. But then also, if somebody tall sits in front of me, you just kind of angle your seat a little bit and it doesn't matter. So
Okay.
I like being, it doesn't really matter where I am. I like being on the end. And then my dad always sat on the end, which also makes me be like, he would never let us sit on the end. So like also it's just like my like adult control where I'm like, I'm a big kid. I get to sit at the end.
Yeah.
But then also I think there is a controlling nature. Like I control this whole row, or at least half of it. The other person on the other side has some control. But I think I like, this is my half row. You need
Yeah,
to be
yeah,
nice
yeah.
to me.
I won't go to a movie theater if it's crowded times. So I only go like matinees and like earlier times when there's nobody there. And I will be so angry if anyone sits near me when they don't have to.
Oh, that's insane. I don't understand that.
It happens
Like,
though. People do that. And I want one time somebody got on the overground. It was a completely empty train, just rows of seats. And this was recent. So pandemic, everything. And they got on and sat right next to me. And
oh,
I like
I would
clocked.
literally say something. I'd be like, "Are you fucking insane?" Like that is, because that's either you're trying to hit on me or you're going to take my wallet, or you're like,
That's
what is going, why are
yeah, it
you
was
here?
I didn't think she was trying to hit on me. I like it didn't have like a slimy like hey vibe. She just plopped down next to me. But I did think she was going to steal something from me because
Yeah,
there
of
was
course.
no
Why
other
the fuck are you
reason.
next to me?
Yeah, but she didn't. But she almost had to like say something to me, kind of vibe to her, like go ahead, like mention it, you know. And I was
Yeah.
just oh, I was so angry.
This trains are getting more packed. Not the levels before, but there are like, and 2 days ago was the first time somebody sat next to me and their skin was touching me.
Ugh, yeah,
And that happened all the time and it bothered me in the before times, but I could not focus the entire,
me
and this is
too.
the other thing that bothered me. So it was like these two women, clearly out of towners, and we're starting to get tourists again. Great for comedy, horrible for me. But so it's like a pole, they sat, and then I'm by the, the side or whatever. And I didn't look, but in my entire being, I just believed that that second woman had more room. And now I just have her friends squished next to me. And I was so in tune with like knowing when they were going to get off. Like I could tell that they kept looking, and I was like, I can't wait for you to get off. I cannot wait
Liz,
for you to get off. Like I couldn't focus.
twice this week that happened to me. It wasn't like bare
Why?
skin. It wasn't bare skin, but it was just like two women plop down next to me. People always plopping down next to me, but that's when I think they're the least considerate, is when it's a plop. Um,
Yeah.
both times, like one woman, like I don't know, she wasn't that bad. Like you don't have to take up the whole seat and spill into my section. The other
Yeah.
woman was like sitting diagonally so that her ass was like touching me. Do you know what I mean?
Ugh.
She
Ugh.
was sitting diagonally to talk to her friend, and it's just like if she sat straight, I would have been fine. Or if that other woman would have maybe like sat up just a little bit. Like we don't have to be touching. Why
Yeah.
are we touching?
Also, why is it not bothering you? Am I
Yeah.
insane where I'm just like, you don't feel that we are so close to being a couple? Like, I'm like, how is this? Like, it's insane to me. And I'm just like, that's where I'm like, is this a me thing? Because I'm just like, I cannot focus. I hate it so. It doesn't matter who you are,
Yeah.
what you look like. I don't know
Well,
you. Do not touch me.
to me, I don't, and it's part of me being short, but to me, I feel like people don't consider me significant enough to pay attention to. You know, like I used to joke about how I'd be on the elevator, and then people just get on the elevator and stand directly in front of me, and like if there were a camera looking at them, they would just see a pair of hands like fly out from behind them. But like it's part of like the short syndrome. Like I just feel like I'm just like, do I not register, or what is it
Yeah.
about me that you don't feel like you need to like take
You
seriously?
know, when there's a certain ingredient and there's less than a percentage, they don't list it. Like that's how I feel. Like we're less than a certain percentage, so we like people can't see
Yeah.
us.
Less than 2% of Maria and Liz.
Is there sugar in this? I heard there's less than 2% Maria and Liz.
Do you like how I was like, is pasta still alive?
I
'Cause
know, guys.
I hadn't heard from you in days, and then you would one story, and usually you have like thousands of stories. One story of pasta looking adorable. I was like, hey, is she dead or what? Like, what is that?
Yeah, yeah. You know what's crazy about it? So I brought her back. She stayed with my mom for like a month in April, because I started like touring a bit. And she came back like older. She just was like sleeping 10 times more, to the point where like we have a system. I wake up, she's kind of already up. She's been like waiting for me to wake up. I feed her, she eats a little bit, and within a half hour, she goes back to bed, sleeps for a little bit. And if we time it perfectly, then she'll miss the podcast, blah, blah, blah. But when I brought her back in April, she started like I'd wake up and she'd just crawl under the covers and she'd sleep for hours. So when I would normally feed her at like 9:30, I started feeding her breakfast at like 2:30. And then instead of feeding her dinner at 5, I'd be feeding her dinner at like anywhere from 7 to 10. And then out of nowhere this week, she's interrupted 2 podcasts and started crying again. And
Oh,
she's
good.
back to a more normal schedule. So she's still not very cryy, which is great. That wasn't a thing I liked that she picked up, but she is crying more than she was for the last couple of months. So I literally was like, I was like, she's dying, like she's at the tail end of her life. And then all of a sudden she's like, I'm back, bitches, and I'm ruining podcasts.
Topic?
Yeah. Okay, so topic this week is imposter syndrome. Do you have imposter syndrome, Maria?
Yeah, I think so. Well, like the little I looked up about it, it also kind of correlates to perfectionism. And
Yeah.
I have that so bad that when we were suggesting a topic and I was like, what about self-trust? And you're like, well, what do you mean by that? Do you mean because we already did intuition? I was like, no, it's not intuition. It's something else. Forget it. Let's just pick something else. Because like it was just like if it's not a fuck yes, it's a no. And I'm just like, let's just not even, I'm not even bother telling you what it is.
I was just asking for
I know.
clarification.
I was also busy because I was trying to get from one show to another. But that's what I mean. Like if somebody's not like, yeah, great idea. I'm like, it's a shit idea. I forget I ever said it. Let's just
I'm
erase it from
stupid.
memory. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know where I came up with this idea. Only I would come up with this dumb idea.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I actually got more. I felt like I understood imposter syndrome more before I started doing the research,
Oh,
and now I'm a
interesting.
little bit Like, how is this
I
not
was an
just
imposter before.
yeah, I was an imposter in understanding this. How is this just not anxiety in a lot of ways? Like,
Yeah.
there's so much, and that's what's confusing. And just so we're clarification, this isn't a mental disorder at all. It's like a what's the right word for this? What did they say? It's an experience or a reaction. Because I was like, this isn't a mental disorder, and then they called it an experience or reaction. So it's, and as we go more into it, it'll explain it more. But like, it's it's a response to it could be a response to your culture, it could be a response to stereotypes, it could be a response to how you were raised. Like, it's the same way that a good parent cultivates self-esteem, a bad situation can also cultivate imposter syndrome. So it's something that is developed, but it also is something that can go away as well. But I think, okay, so let's just start with, it's basically hold on, oh, I went too far. So it's a psychological pattern in which individuals doubt skills, talents, or accomplishments, and have like a persistent internalized fear of being exposed as a fraud. And then, despite external evidence of their competence, those experience this phenomenon remain convinced that they are frauds and do not deserve all their achievements. I mean, I've related to that most of my career. I don't feel. Do you have? Okay, so do you experience this where like you're like, I deserve this. This is fucking bullshit. I'm the funniest person here. Da 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 da. And then you get it, and you're like, fuck, 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 fuck,
Can't
fuck,
believe
fuck.
they gave
Like,
that to me.
oh
Yes.
shit,
Yes.
shit, shit, shit. And then you're
I
either like, I'm not ready, or you're like, I tricked everybody. I tricked myself when I thought I could do this. I tricked them for thinking I could do this. I now
Yes.
have to trick people in that I know what I'm doing. I have that
That's
still.
happening to me right now because I'd reached out to somebody about like collaborating on something. Somebody I had no business reaching out to. Like who like we are not on the same level at all. And they were willing to hear me out. And I was like, I tried to delete it after I sent it. And and like WhatsApp, after a while, it won't let you delete. It will just delete it on your end. And so it was just,
Yeah,
it was out there, baby. And I was
yeah,
like, no, fucking no. I can't believe I had the balls to send, not the balls, the audacity to send that. Then like, they were willing to listen to it, like, hear me out. So now I'm going to like, I have to send over something, like some kind of coherent pitch for my idea. And I'm going, what have I done? I'm
yeah,
not
yeah, yeah.
I'm not on the same level. I have no business doing this. I have like no, just, I am not worthy of this sort of collaboration. And I have nothing. What did I think I have? I have nothing. I have nothing.
I don't
Right.
believe that at all.
No, but that's the thing. It's like, and it's not
Yeah,
true. And then I have to remind myself, like, you know, you actually are qualified for things. Like I think about writers'
yeah,
rooms a lot, and I'm just like, I could be a writer. Like I have it in my head that these people are like older than me and more established and more accomplished, and like they're all Dan Harmons. You know what I mean? Like they're all like
yeah,
older, and they have fucking pie charts and shit that they used to follow to like make things, and I'm just like, I am so qualified to be in a writer's room. These are
yeah,
people are younger than me doing this right now. And I
yeah,
just like, there's something about like I feel like I'm still striving in my career. Like I still like I feel like I'm still um at this like maybe one day kind of point in my career. It's just like you're here now. You have the experience behind you. You're
yeah,
funny. There's no reason why somebody wouldn't take something you write seriously.
yeah,
But I'm just like, no, like I feel like I've handed over scribbles. Like will you put it
yeah,
on your fridge? You
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. Frame that. You should frame that.
I was afraid
I
to get
had,
feedback from somebody like that I sent a script to, like at a production company. I was afraid to ask and follow up and see if they'd read it because I figured if it's not a fuck yes, it's a no. So I'm like,
yeah.
the fact that they haven't gotten back to me means they either read it and hated it or didn't bother reading it or kind of didn't get through it. So fuck it. Like it sucks and I suck.
I mean, I think one of the things about comedy and writing, or maybe just being an artist specifically, is that one, there's no path, but B, the gatekeepers are random. It's not like you're in an office and you know who the top is and you work your way up. But then also, you're always pushing yourself to do different things and go outside your box. So you're actually always uncomfortable. So you always haven't been there. So you're always like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like it feels hard to feel like clearly doing city spots and doing 10 minutes, like whether it goes well or not, I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like any kind of, I don't belong here is pretty much gone. But as soon as like I have to do a corporate gig, I'm like,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna ruin this. I'm gonna ruin my name. I'm not gonna get paid. I'm like, I'm an idiot.
Yeah. I
I'm
have
not
to
right
do
to
a
be here.
show. Yeah, I have to do a show at a members club. I'm like, what, for an hour? Like, what the fuck? Why do they want to listen to me for an hour? And it's just like, what, like, who would be good for this, Maria? Who would be better for you for this than
Yeah,
you? I know exactly what you're saying. It's just like, sorry, just real quick. It's just like
yeah,
some places seem to have people like hanging over you, watching you, like, this better be good. Maybe because there's more money involved or something, but
yeah.
because like you could
The
give a fuck
stakes
about
are
his minute
higher.
stakes are higher. Like, but they don't like I feel so much more comfortable like doing spots in like rooms that comedians run than ones that comedy club bookers run. But it's just like, what's the difference
What's the
other than
difference?
like £100,
Yeah.
or whatever they pay?
And that's
But
usually how I calm myself down, where I'm like, what? There's zero difference. Like when you have to do an audition and you're like, this is no different than any other show. Why am I getting what? Because of the
right,
opportunities or, but who gives a fuck? If they don't like
right.
it, then they don't like it. I
And
am podcasting.
these casting directors are like 12, like like you
Yeah.
have the experience, you've been doing it, you're the artist, you're the person, like
Yeah. First of all, the original article about imposter syndrome came out in 1978, and it was specifically about accomplished women, like women that were highly regarded and revered in their fields. This is, people have missed you, but they can't miss you that much. So it came out and people believed it was specifically about women in general, just because of, the boxes that we put women in and the stereotypes about what women are good at or not good at, what they should be doing and shouldn't be doing. But then as more research happened, it's pretty down the middle between men and women. It just depends on kind of where you developed your uh like some, like, is it because of gender stereotypes, is it because of your family, is it because of um culture, your culture, it says attribution style. I actually don't know what that means, but like where it cultivates from is where it's going to kind of show. So then the other thing is that we talk about it in the sense of comedy and work, but you can have this in your platonic or romantic relationships. You can have this in regular social interactions. You can have this in an academic setting where, somebody holds your paper up and you know that you wrote it 10 minutes before class and you're like, I tricked everybody. Like a good example is, as somebody that's dyslexic, I've always felt dumb, and I have cheated my way through things because I couldn't do it the normal way. So when I started doing stand up and I would do a set and then somebody would come up to me and they'd be like, you're really smart. And I never thought, oh, they see my intelligence. I always thought I tricked them. I tricked
yeah,
him into thinking I'm smart because I know I'm not smart. So
right,
I think certain dynamics set you up, and it could be like I have built more confidence and have experiences and can look back into my accomplishments as a healing mechanism to show that I belong here in comedy. But when it comes to, same with friendships, but when it comes to often romantic relationships or work environments that I don't have experience in, maybe like the writing example, like a writer's room for you as opposed to a stand-up club, it's much harder for me to feel like I belong because I don't have the experience. The same way that like I probably give more validity to somebody that was married and divorced than, even if they were married for 4 years and my longest relationship was 4 years. I was like, yeah, but they were like super committed. They had a party. You know what I mean? They got
yeah,
a toaster that is way more committed than I was. So as I built confidence in my friendships, as I built confidence in my stand up and have experiences, it's easier to take down that imposter syndrome and self-soothe and get past it. But in things that I don't have a lot of experience with and I don't know, it's hard for me not to feel like I tricked them, like I don't actually know what I'm doing. So I think everybody experiences it in different realms of their life in some maybe not everybody, but I think it is a lot more common than people realize. And then it can look like depression, or not look, but like push into depression, self-confidence issues, general anxiety and stuff like that. So I feel like there's a blurred line of when does imposter syndrome start and when does general anxiety begin. But
Mm.
I had a realization, no joke, like 2 nights ago. I was walking home and my first album, it's called Emotionally Exhausting, came out like 8 years ago. During the pandemic, March of 2020, I took the video and I just threw it up on YouTube. It's doing really well. It has 1.7 million views.
Oh my
Um,
God.
isn't that
Well
crazy? This thing
done.
is
Yeah,
eight
that's
years old.
amazing.
I just threw it on there. It's doing great. It's actually helped people see my special that, I worked really hard at and is more recent. But I had this epiphany. I released that when I was 28 years old, meaning that I wrote most of it between 26. It took me about a year and a half to write it. So I wrote most of it between 26 and 28. And I have been feeling like a failure, like I didn't have my voice, that I didn't know what I was doing, that I wasn't funny for years. And I don't feel that way now. I have moments, but I don't feel that way now. And then I was like, bitch, you're looking at these kids that like accomplish stuff in their 20s, and why is it taking me so much longer to accomplish things? I did accomplish things. They might have not blown up in the moment, but I created all that content and I made it happen and I produced it and I'm making money off it. And I did that in my 20s. Like I did do it. And I've been spending all this time, not actively, but it'll come up where I'm like, God, I didn't do anything. Like I'm just starting to start my career now. And that's just not true. I did so much in my 20s and worked my ass off. And I am where I am because of the work and the risks I took in my 20s. But it's weird how, because it didn't blow up and because didn't have a fan base, or I wasn't famous, or I wasn't touring the world at that moment, which I kind of was. As things started to blow up, I did start touring the world. It was just the earlier part of it. But I was like, I did do shit in my 20s.
Yeah. And I did. Yeah. And I kind of had a similar realization. Like, I guess I feel like when I reached out for the collaboration, I was like, oh, I have 2 Edinburgh shows I can draw from. And then I was like, those are garbage. I don't have anything. I said nothing and the stories aren't worth it. And it's just like, I just felt like it all disintegrated in my hands. And I was like, here I have this thing to offer. Oh, there's nothing that I have nothing. I have nothing.
Like you had a shell. It's like you had a shell and then you realize it was made of sand. You're like, oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah. This is my bad. I don't know what I'm doing here. I'll see you later.
Yeah.
But like, that's one of the things they tell you as far as getting over imposter syndrome is to go back and like reframe the things that you've done and list the things that you've done. So it's just like, I've done a lot. If I'm willing to look at it positively, and it's just like 2 hour shows, even if I'm like, oh, but they were shit and I didn't know what I was doing and I'm not funny. Like, no, and they were good. And like, I found a poems I wrote like 10, 11, 12 years ago. And I was like, these are really good. And I was so embarrassed by them at the time. And poetry is embarrassing, but like, they are really good. And I'm just like,
podcast, by the way.
Yeah.
When somebody says they listen to the podcast, I'm like, oh, I know I released it publicly, but I didn't realize people listened.
I know people tell me that. I'm like, I'm so sorry. Thank you. I mean, please, do I owe you money?
Yeah. I'm flattered and also terrified.
Yeah. But like, so it's just like, it's like we refuse to see what we're really doing. And then you just like some point, maybe it's the 1.7 million views that slaps you in the face and goes, you're doing something right. And you have been for years.
Yeah.
So like give yourself the credit and and
you're right. You put this filter of it's not good enough, but you ever have somebody that finds out you're a comedian and they're like, oh my God, that's amazing. Oh, you've done that. That's incredible. And you almost are like, you're an idiot. You don't know. Like your first response.
That absolutely happened after the new material night yesterday. This he must have been, God bless him, he was like 19 or something. And he came up to me and Nico and Red Dew and was like, wow, like you guys just like talk up there. And like, he was like, that's just the greatest job in the world. Like, that's so cool. Like you just get up there and just say things like, and I'm just like, what a fucking dumbass. Like, no. I mean, I wasn't really thinking, I thought it was really sweet, but a little naive, but it is actually, because that's exactly how I felt about comedy before I started doing it. It is the greatest job in the world. Like you just get up, you talk, you make people laugh, like you communicate.
Yeah. Well, I had a kid, this was a couple years ago. He brought me on stage as someone that had a check mark on their Instagram. She goes, this girl has a check mark. She's fucking doing it. And it took me a second. I didn't know what he meant. I literally, that's where I really felt like I was old. Again, he was probably like 19 or 20. And I was like, I was going on stage. I was like, what does a check mark mean? Like, I literally had no idea what he was
What does
talking
a
about.
check mark mean? Is this
Like,
some
I
sort
was
of
just,
TikTok thing?
I'm like literally like looking at my shirt. I'm like, what, a check mark? What does that mean? So then I do my set, and that's when I realized he means like the verification. You're verified on Instagram. And don't get me wrong, it's helpful and I'm grateful and there is some power or validity to it, but we also know it's half of it is knowing people. The other, like, I got my verification on Twitter when I had 2000, I was 10 years into my career, but I had 2000 followers. So that's why sometimes I'm like, I don't know, does this mean anything? And then when I see somebody has like a lot of followers, I'm like, still, does this mean anything? Like, I can dismiss everything about it. And then sometimes that childlike glee reminds you that these are things.
Yeah.
Like, someone has decided that my body of work is noteworthy enough to be verified. Somebody has decided that me being on Comedy Central, a thing that I was so proud of, and every time I'm on it even if it doesn't have the same validity, same with late night, same with some of these festivals, but it feels like the further along you get, you compare yourself and you just start to diminish it, and it's no longer an accomplishment anymore. But if you look at it without that filter, you're like, fucking done a lot. I've done a lot and I've worked really hard to be here.
Yeah. So that's like one of the ways to kind of get over it is to reframe and look at like what you've done, list everything you've accomplished and look at it differently. Do you want to run through any more or should we
Yeah,
wrap up?
so what I found is know the signs, so know what you're doing. I think awareness is always super important. Know that you're not alone. You're welcome. We just did a podcast on it. Out here just doing the work for you. Distinguish between humility and fear, which I thought was actually really important. So humility is like, somebody being like, you're the greatest, and you'll be like, probably not the greatest, but thank you so much. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and then somebody being like, you're the greatest, and you're being like, they're going to find out I'm not. So I think there's
Yes.
something about being humble and being like, I'm just one of many people and I'm glad you like what I do. And then there's also like, "Ugh," like, fuck, like, this person thinks I'm amazing and I'm not. So I think understanding that and that kind of filter we talked about, clearly let go of your inner perfectionist. The best thing I saw, and I wish I've been looking for this video again, and it sucks when you find something you can't ever find it again. There was a video of Tupac on YouTube basically being like, it's good enough. It's good. He's in the recording studio. It was like, it's good enough. And this is a kid, he died when he was like, I think 24 or 26. He was super young when he died, but he was super prolific and he's revered in a way where like he had so many fucking hits. And like, yes, I haven't listened to every Tupac song. I'm sure there's duds on there, but it didn't matter. And we put so much emphasis on everything has to be perfect. This has to be the best, every joke, and you're like, no one remembers every joke. It doesn't all have to be perfect. It's good enough. And it's weird to be like, Tupac's in the back of my head sometimes when I cannot finish. And I go, it's good enough. Just go. Just move forward.
That's how, yeah. I had to do that with a joke. I'm like, but there's no end to this joke. It's like, it's good enough for now. It's a new material. I just do it. Just say it.
Yeah,
say it out
just
loud.
fucking say it out loud. You'll get there. Track and measure your successes, just like going back and being like, I've done this. This was important to me years ago. Talk about it with a mentor or manager. We talk about shit all the time together and help each other. Say yes to new opportunities. Don't let this belief that you've done nothing stop you from continuing to put yourself out there. And then just embrace the feeling and use it. Like I think that's really interesting to just be like, this is how I feel right now. I'm not gonna feel like this forever. Yeah, and just continue.
And if you have any questions or want to talk about your imposter syndrome, write to us at 2nondoctors@gmail.com. That's 2non-full-doctors@gmail.com. And we'll see you next week. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye.
You're doing great.
Say bye, Liz.
Bye.
Say bye.
Oh,